نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. This is called Arbaeen-An-Nawawi. Can you see it? Arba'een means 40. In Arabic, Arba'een means 40. Meaning, Arba'een or Arba'un of Imam Nawawi. Imam Nawawi, rahmatullah alayhi, is one of the greatest Imams from the 8th and 9th century. Amazing Imam, 8th century. From Nawa, in Egypt, I think. And he wrote this book, 40 hadith, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever memorized 40 hadith, he would be counted as someone of scholarly level. He's quite wise and knowledgeable. That's why we memorize 40 hadith. That's why you do a different 40 hadith from your books, a small one. Al-inatu min Allah wal-ajalatu. Yeah. All those hadith. What about the first hadith? What is the first hadith in your books? At'imul ja'i'a Udul Marid. So why we make you memorize this? So that you memorize 40 hadiths like this. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do intercession for you on the day of judgment. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, say, oh, this boy has memorized it, this girl has memorized this. Take them to Jannah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay. With your intercession, you take them to Jannah. Isn't that amazing? That you get to Jannah easily. 40 hadith, and this is one of the ways of going to Jannah, inshallah. You understand why we want you to memorize? That's the reason. So pay attention to that memorization. It's very, very important. Obviously, when you grow up, you understand that as well, and you practice that as well, and you become a faqih, inshallah, knowledgeable person about that. Hadith has some weakness, but all the imams have agreed on the meaning of it, and they almost everyone written something of this nature. 40 hadith, 40 hadith. So 40 hadith, very important 40 hadith. We memorize them. Hadith is the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is hadith? Hadith is saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and doing of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and approving of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So whatever he did, whatever he said, and whatever he sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw someone doing and didn't stop them from doing it. These are all hadith. These are the actions, the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we are doing hadith number 16. Hadith number 16. نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. The hadith goes like this: عن أبي هريرة فعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رجلا قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أوصني قال عليه الصلاة والسلام لا تغضب رواه البخاري. And you have this hadith in your books as well, but perhaps not in book 3 yet. So that's why you don't know. Maybe you would read in book 4 or 5. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu is the narrator of the hadith. He said that a man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, advise me something. So a man came and he asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, advise me something. What do you learn from that? Every so often, go to some of your seniors in the family, your uncle, your grandparents, your parents sometime, your next door uncle, maybe your teacher, maybe your school teacher, whoever. And just when you sit with them, they say, how are you doing? I'm fine. Please advise me something good. Nowadays, no one wants any lecture. The minute someone says something, say, oh, please stop lecturing. This is what you say to your uncles, your dad, your neighbors, your teachers. Very bad attitude. Very bad. You would never learn if you have that attitude of not asking. And if someone is giving you free advice and you can't be bothered, or say, oh, please stop lecturing, then you are the rudest person, disrespectful one. You do not honor the knowledge, and you would not learn anything from people. You try your own, and through trial and error, you may get somewhere, but you'll be literally bumping your head into so many different walls, left, right, and center. By the time you come to any destination, which is not going to be the ultimate destination of Jannah, here and there, you bump your head and bruise yourself brutally. Because you've been silly and trying your best, jumping and bumping here and there. A sensible person would ask someone to guide, and they would get the right direction, and before it's late, they are on their journey and they are on their destination. That's a clever, sensible person. Those who make the decision on their own, they tend to not do. This is what the companion is doing. Came, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew his background because there have been discussion or whatever. So somehow he knew that there was a lot of problem with him. One of the problem with him was that he was very angry person. He had a lot of anger. You look at him and he will become angry. You touch him and he will become angry. So he was like literally showing his rage left, right, and center in the family, in the community, in the household. So he kept asking in the same majlis. He said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, give me advice. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, La taghdab, do not be angry. After a few seconds, Ya Rasulullah, advise me something else. Means advise me more. He said, La taghdab, do not be angry. He kept asking, advise me more. He said, La taghdab, same all the time. Faraddada miraran. He kept saying, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would respond the same thing. Means your problem is anger. Go and sort it out. Everything. He didn't realize what is the value of controlling your anger. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept emphasizing it till it got deep down in his heart. He realized, oh, there's a deep meaning to it. I only thought that he meant that do not. He's saying it because he's perhaps thinking that I haven't heard it. I heard it, and I understood it. The second and third time he realized, oh, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually is making a point that your problem is just this anger. Everything else is footnote. If you do not sort this problem out, all the problem would remain. If you do not think about it, you would remain in trouble. Sort it out and you'll be fine. Then he realized, oh, okay. Jazakallah. And then he left. And he sorted it out with the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he became the most happy person afterwards, obviously. Because when you follow the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are just sorted. Everything else, everything through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come in place. So this is this Sahabi who did it. This is the hadith that we were supposed to talk about. Not today though. The detail of all this anger and anger management and whatnot would be in the next session. Why? Because the way I normally go through these is normally go through the Sahabi who narrated the story about his life history, because you need to know the story of Sahaba. And I think it's much more relevant when we have children here today, those who are doing their exams, they're waiting to be called for their practical and oral exams, and those who have completed their exams are coming and joining us soon. So we would talk about this companion called Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr. He's actually from Ad-Daws tribe and is commonly known as Abu Huraira. You heard this name, Abu Huraira? Abu Huraira, yeah. Abu Huraira radiyallahu ta'ala an. Abu Huraira radiyallahu ta'ala an. This is the companion we're talking about. Make sure that you know everything about him I'm mentioning here. Very nice story about him. Learn about him. So he was born 18 years before Hijrah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated from Makkah to Medina when he was how old? How old was he? Go on. 53. He was 53-year old. Now, he was born before 18 years. How old was he then? How young? What is the difference between him and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Take 18 away from 53. हिसाब भी नहीं आता जालिम स्कूल में फेल ही होना है क्या तो मैं यहीं फेल हो गया 35 was he? Yes. 35 plus 8 is 43 plus 10 is 53. You don't know takeaways. Oh my goodness. So he was 35 years younger than he was 18 years before the Hijrah, and he's about, so if he took 53 and 18 away, so how old he is? कुछ समझ में आ रहा है? How old was he when he was in Medina, when he became Muslim? So this is, you would only find out when you know that what was the year that he became Muslim. He became Muslim in the year 7 after Hijrah. So now say, how old is he now? 18 plus 7. Go on. 25, mashallah. So he became Muslim when he was 25. Okay. What was his actual name? There's a lot of discussion. And no one knows his actual name, by the way. He was known by his agnomen. This is called kunya. Agnomen, his special name, given extra name, nickname, that people actually forgot about his actual name. There are many, many different views, but the most common view is that his name was perhaps Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr. He became Muslim in the 7th year after Hijrah. He stayed in the company of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wouldn't leave. So he's part of that Ashab al-Suffa, the people of that, what you call that stage, Suffa. There was in the Masjid al-Nabawi, even today, in the Masjid al-Nabawi, there is a like a stage, but stage nahi hai, lekin usko bhi aur acha banana chahiye. A pedestal of some sort, some extra, you know, slightly elevated patch, a slightly raised floor, a platform, yeah, platform, a slightly raised platform, a platform on the side in the masjid somewhere, where Ashab al-Suffa would, you know, sit, and they would be there. So this was the madrasa boarding for the students who wouldn't go out at all. They would stay in the masjid with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's house next door. So that was very close to the masjid. The boundary wall of the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was with the masjid, and there was a door to come in and out. So, and the Ashab al-Suffa, the people of that platform, would be there. He was one of them, or rather a leader of them. They wouldn't work. They would just stay in the masjid, keep learning from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He learned 3 years. He was in madrasa for 3 years non-stop. He accepted Islam at the hand of one of the companions who became Muslim, Tufail ibn Amr ad-Dawsi, from the same tribe. He was the leader there. He came for a bad intention, but then he became Muslim. Leave his story for some other time. But he accepted Islam at his hand when he went back to his tribe. The people accepted from those tribes. He was the first one to accept. His mother wouldn't accept. When he came with Tufail to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was very happy. And this is his first conversation. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, "What's your name?" He said, "Abdul Shams." His name was Abdul Shams before Islam. Abdul Shams means the slave of sun, the slave of the sun. Obviously, that is because they used to worship sun as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No, rather you're Abdul Rahman." That's how he got his name, Abdul Rahman, according to the widely accepted view. But as I said, there's difference of opinion. Anyway, this Abdul Rahman, he was very happy. He said, "Alhamdulillah, I took it." He just took that name. This is the name he was given. But why was he called a kitten? Abu Huraira. Huraira is a kitten. Abu Huraira, the one who owns a kitten, the owner of a kitten, the one with the kitten. What happened? He had a small kitten. He would put on the, tree branch for the day, few hours, and then take him back. He would play with it. So he had that kitten. He had a long sleeve, loose one, and he would put him sometime like this. So one day in the class, he was playing, as you guys play with so many different things. You find many different ways of playing with many different things. I don't know how, but you do somehow. So he was playing with the kitten. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ya Abu Huraira, oh, the one with kitten, what are you doing? Pay attention." And he was like, "Subhanallah." So he loved this name, and everyone loved this name, that he gave this as a, it was just known, and everyone would call him Abu Huraira, the one with the kitten. So this is why he was called Abu Huraira. Hirra is the kitten, is a cat. Hir is male cat, Hirra is the female cat. Okay, so the baby is called Huraira. Okay, so people just called him the kitten man. His mother was a little bit stoned. She wouldn't accept Islam. Abu Huraira was very concerned. He came and, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my mother is not accepting Islam. What do I do? I'm very concerned. Every time I invite her, she became even more anti me and to you. And today she said something about you which I can't even say. I'm so hurt about that. And I'm so unhappy about that." And then what happened? He came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah, make dua for my mother. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua. And the next day, well, the same day, he went home. So as he reached home, the house was closed. So he knocked at the door. Oh, mother, open the door. He said, the mother said, wait. And there was sign of water splashes. You could hear the sound of splashes of water. And then mother opened the door. She had just taken the bath and in new clothes. And he said, oh, Abu Huraira. So he said, I want to invite you, mother, to Islam. Said, yes, I've already accepted it. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua there at the request of Abu Huraira, by the time he came home, mother has already accepted Islam. She became Muslim straight away. And she was taking shower because as a Muslim, it's mustahab, is highly recommended that you take shower so that you become purified spiritually and physically. Yeah, so that's how she became Muslimah. Abu Hurairah was very, very happy, and he came and he praised. He said, praise be to God who has guided Abu Hurairah to Islam. Then he said, praise be to God who has taught Abu Hurairah Islam. Praise be to God who has given Abu Hurairah the companionship of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Zayd ibn Sabit, he said, one of the incidents that took place, Zayd ibn Sabit is the scribe of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who compiled the Quran in book form at the instruction of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq in his time. Anyway, so this particular companion, greatest of the companions, amazing story about him as well. Anyway, he said that we, another companion, and Abu Hurairah were sitting together, we were making some dua and doing some dhikr. So remember, they were doing some dhikr in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered. He saw them, he said, what have you been doing? Oh, we were just making dua. Carry on what you were doing. And they started making dua. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say Ameen to them. And it was his turn finally, Abu Hurairah's turn, and he made this dua. And he said, Oh Allah, I ask you for what my two companions have asked me, and I ask you for the knowledge which will not be forgotten. He asked for a knowledge which will not be forgotten. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Ameen to that, and he was very happy with this, that my dua inshallah will be accepted. And then other two companions, Zayd ibn Sabit, said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we want to make the same dua. Too late. You missed the opportunity. Abu Hurairah took advantage of that. You delayed. That was the time. So his memory became so sharp that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anyone with his shawl, with his scarf, put it down. And whatever I say, just listen to it. And then after that, listening to that attentively, wrap it and put it on your chest. And he did that. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for him. So he had that on his chest. And after that, he said, he complained before that, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I tend to forget whatever you say. And this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam manifested, practically displayed this. So his upper garment, he took it off, like in a shawl, and he made dua, put it as though he's just putting something in there, wrapped it, and put it on his chest, and with his hand on top of that. So after that, Abu Hurairah said, I would hear anything and I would never forget ever. His memory becomes so sharp that this was a miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Muslim wrote this hadith, and he said that, subhanallah, since that day I never forgotten whatever I heard from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what that made, in the next 3 years that he is with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he became the most knowledgeable of hadith. He knew the most hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his memory. How many? 5,374. 5,374 narrations from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he knew of by heart. So that's why it's called Mukthirin. Mukthirin are the Sahaba who would narrate more than 1,000 of them. So any Sahabi who knew about 1,000 hadith of by heart is Mukthirin. And Abu Hurairah is the leader, obviously. There are many others. Once Marwan bin Hakam, he was the leader, he was the Khalifa in his time. Once he wanted to test Abu Hurairah about his memory. He asked him, and he hid a scribe behind the curtain. And he said, the way he narrates everything, make a note of every detail, everything of that. And he asked him to, Ya Abu Hurairah, oh Sahabi, oh my teacher, please keep narrating hadith to us. He narrated hadith after hadith, quite a few, more than few hundreds, carrying on and on for hours. And after that, Jazakallahu khaira. When he felt that I have got enough, then he left. And then a year later, he asked, I want another invitation. Please come and have food with us as the first time. Abu Hurairah came, and he said, hit the same person behind. Open your book and just tell you what he's telling you. I want you to narrate the same hadith again, in the same order. He did exactly the same without any mistake. And the person was verifying, oh my goodness, this man is like, amazing memory. Obviously, that was the barakah from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's dua and his action. Okay. This is why Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu is the greatest of the authority with regards to memorization. So if you haven't done your exam, just go and do the exam. Have you done the exam today? No, just go. Have you done the exam today? No. Yes. Anyway, once Sayyidina Abu Hurairah saw people just in the marketplace, buying, selling, eating, chit-chatting, all the different things. And he saw them, he was very upset by looking at people, that everyone is involved in their material world. And he was completely divorced of dunya. So he said, what are you doing here? The inheritance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is distributed in the masjid. What are you doing here? So many of them, the new Muslim, they all rushed into the Masjid Nabawi, and they saw and they came back and they said, Abu Hurairah, you were saying that there was inheritance. We didn't see any inheritance there. So what did you see? Oh, there were people sitting there talking and discussing Quran. There was someone was mentioning about. So he said that Rasulullah told me the inheritance of prophets is ilm. Ilm is being distributed in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you wasted your time here. That was the inheritance I was talking about. You'd think about material gain. So anyway, we wanted to just admonish them in the best way so that they learn and improve their situation. Obviously, they were not Sahaba, they were the students of Sahaba, but new people. He suffered from a lot of hardship, to the point that as Ashab al-Suffah, sometimes they wouldn't have food for days. One day he was starving and starving and starving, and he felt like, what do I do? They said, let me try Abu Bakr Siddiq. So he came out, because they would not want to ask for help. They would not want to ask for help because they would only trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if someone gave them as a gift, they would take it, because if they're so hungry, although they're allowed to even ask for food if they were that hungry. But they wouldn't do that. The Sahaba were amazing people. They would just have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he was trying somehow that Abu Bakr Siddiq, he came out in the masjid, said, oh, Abu Bakr Siddiq, because Abu Bakr Siddiq is the most knowledgeable person from among the Sahaba. So, because he's the right-hand man of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like Umar, like Uthman, like Ali. So he said, oh, Abu Bakr Siddiq, I have a question. He said, oh, okay, fine. And he's walking, and he stood up and said, okay, this is the answer. And he said, okay. And then he left. I was like, I hope that he would take me to his house while walking. But he stood up without realization, and he didn't get the idea. And he gave me the answer. Then I saw Umar coming out of the masjid. I just followed him and said, oh, Umar, I've got a question. And I asked the same question just to get the answer. But while responding, he may offer me food because I haven't eaten for a few days. And he didn't get that either. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came out. And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, oh, Abu Hurairah, come with me. He took him to his house. And as he entered the house, he took me to sit in the house. And there was a bowl of milk there. And he said to his wife, where did you get this? Where is it from? So he said, oh, someone gifted it. Oh, the gift. Okay. Oh, Abu Hurairah. Abu Hurairah said, I felt that I would get some milk now. I'm so hungry. And he said, Abu Hurairah, go and invite all the people of Sufa to the masjid. Abu Hurairah said, small bowl of milk. And that would only satisfy me in my mind. And Rasulullah is asking for all the people. And there were about 30, 40 of them, by the way. So I said, obviously, I couldn't say anything. I said, Okay, Ya Rasulullah, I'm just calling them now. And then he called, and they all came, one after the other. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave it to Abu Huraira, said, "Oh Abu Huraira, give them all one by one." Now him and him, said, everyone was having to their fill. And I was thinking nothing would be left for me. And he managed, everyone had it. And then finally, he gave it to me. And there was only, obviously, little left, whatever was left. He said, drink. I said, I started drinking. I said, I drank and I drank and I drank. It wouldn't finish. Drank and drank. I felt so full that I said, Ya Rasulullah, enough. I can't do anymore. Yourself, enough. That was another miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he had literally fully satisfied, and then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had from the same bowl. All of them managed from this. This is the barakah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How he then helped his companion. They all went through the hardship, but finally they all got what they should be getting. You wouldn't find anyone dying of starvation. The hardship only makes you even stronger, even more powerful with regards to your faith. This is what the promise was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Bukhari brought this incident in his book. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened up the world for him as well. He became so rich as many Sahaba got, because slowly and slowly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped them. Because when you apply the law of Sharia in the piece of land that you live in and in your own life, Allah opened up the blessings from the heavens, and they got barakah in their life. And then he became very comfortable, and he had a lot of wealth. But he didn't change him. He didn't forget the days, and he would remind himself and he would say that how poor I was, how I was raised by, how I would work for people. And once his student asked him to come for food, and he, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, was invited, so he just sat there, and they roasted a whole lamb. And Rasulullah, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, saw it, and he started crying and crying and crying. He cried his eyes out, and he was like, all the students were like, what happened? Why is he crying? He said, I've spent 3 years with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I've never seen him eating food like this. I can't eat it. That's too much of a luxury. And he left, and they all left because they couldn't even think about eating something, because they saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never had it. How could I have it? They were so concerned about their life hereafter rather than dunya. And he would stay up all night. So what happened then? He finally got married, and he has a daughter, and a daughter, wife, and the husband. Everyone was so pious, so connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what they did? They said, we divide the night in 3 parts. First part, I would wake up and do my tahajjud, recite Quran, first 10 juz. Second, my wife. Third, the daughter, or whichever order. And they all had it. Every night, there'll be this spiritual practice in the house. Someone would be woken up for a third of night and reciting Quran and completing Quran in their recitation, whatever they could do, or even if it's whatever portion they wanted to recite, but they recited. So he would stay up the third of night, the wife another third, and the daughter another third of night. This is how they would do. He said, the house of Abu Huraira, in this way, there will be no hour of night where there's Quran or the prayer is not being done. So you could imagine the blessing of the house, where people are like this. But we can't even do our proper prayer. And that is why we don't see Muslims having barakah in their houses. We have pictures in the house, we have music in the house, we shout, we look at TVs and dramas and films and this and that, and the music and the games and everything. The phone has got musical tone, the bell has got musical tone. The angels do not come to the house with this picture or the dog. We keep all the pictures of toys and dummies and stuffed toys and all the different things, and even the pictures of our heroes, our celebrities, and this and that, in the books, in the clothes, everywhere. And then we expect angels to be coming to the house. And then the Sahaba and the people, they used to always have a place in the house, which is masjid for the house. Everyone would go there and pray there in their own time or together, whatever they're doing. Quran, same place. Dhikr, same place. That is how they would have a blessed corner in the house, a masjid of the house. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go to some of the companions, and in that corner, he would make dua after leading them into a rakat of nafil prayer, so that it become a blessed place. We don't have that. We don't even think like that. Even if I ask you and tell you, no one's going to do that. This is not what we do. We should have a prayer place in our household, and everyone should just pray there. Governorship of Bahrain, then he became the governor of this Bahrain. So now he got a lot of gifts. So he became so rich, even more big places as was people just donated him. But Sayyidina Umar is very strict about these things. He had a very clear principle, and obviously he was the best of the best. He was a senior and a teacher of Abu Hurairah as well, and like it in many ways, his senior. So he said, Abu Hurairah, no, not at all. All of that land that you got during your governorship belonged to Baytul Mal. He happily gave everything to Baytul Mal. He was, because his heart wasn't not there in this material world. He was very happy with that. And so Umar subsequently, asked him to don't work now, got someone else to work so that things are while he was sorting this issue out. And then subsequently he asked, okay, Abu Hurairah, obviously I haven't got any issue with you. I want you to be leader of Bahrain again, governor of Bahrain. Please excuse me for that, because similar thing would happen again. I don't want to take this responsibility. That's how simple he was, mashallah. He was very kind to his mother. And they would always talk to each other like this. Assalamu alayka ya ummata wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessing of and barakah of my Lord is upon you. Oh, my beloved mother. He would just say, ummata. And then she would have, wa alaikum assalam ya bunayya, oh my beloved son, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. This is how they would converse with you. This is how they would initiate their day. They talk to each other like this. So much care and concern, compassion for each other. This is how it should be when you go home. So this is Abu Hurairah ad-Dawsi, and he would say, may God have mercy on you as you cared for me when I was small, oh my lovely mother. And she would say, may God have mercy on you as you delivered me from error when I was very old. Why? What does that mean? What that means? You helped me to come out of kufr into Islam. You made me Muslim. Through you, I accepted Islam. You accepted Islam before me, and you invited me to Islam. I wasn't accepting initially. Then you were so concerned about me, oh my son, that you spoke to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he made dua for me, and I became Muslim. So you are the source for me to become Muslim. I am so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you. This is how they would appreciate and look after each other. Once he saw a man who was walking with an older man. He said, who is this man to you? He said, oh, he's my father. He said, make sure that you never call him by name. He called his father by his name. Remember, calling your father by name is very disrespectful. Likewise, your teacher, never call your teacher by his name, first name. Their surname is okay, but first name is very disrespectful. Use a title before him, sir, teacher, whatever, something, or Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Surname. I know the culture nowadays in your school is to call your teacher by your first name. This is disrespectful in the eyes of Sharia, in the eyes of Islam. Don't follow the way of people. Call them whatever is a respectable way. Likewise, your older brothers, if they're 1 or 2 year only, maybe okay. But if they're 3, 4 year older, never call them by their name. This is disrespectful. It's not haram, but disrespectful. Call them bhai or baji, something of that sort, whatever you prefer. So he said, don't do that. Don't sit before your father on the food table. Let them start first. Not your parent and older siblings do it first. Have the respect. Don't be silly and forget about all those manners and respectable things. Because remember, when you show respect to your teacher, your parents, your elders, you get the barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يَرْحَمْ صَغِيرَنَا وَيَعْرِفْ شَرَفَ كَبِيرَنَا. Those who do not show mercy and compassion towards young ones, and do not respect and honor our elders, our parents, our teachers, our imams, and then they are not from among us. They're not part of us. They're not even me. I don't belong to them. So learn. And so he died in the year 59 when he was 78. Radiallahu ta'ala an. May Allah be pleased with him. He is the main person who conveyed the sayings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 5,374 narrations from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Ummah. There are about 10 to 12,000 He has done close to half. Amazing man, isn't he? He has dedicated his life 3 years in that madrasa of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what happened. Now, every good deed that has been happening through those narrations until the end of time, he would get the reward of that. He would get the reward of, because he is the one conveyed the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why we expect some of you to take that and become alim, become the scholar. Traditionally learn. Nowadays, you have to spend 6 years to become a proper alim in some madrasas. Go and do that. There's more blessings and favors in that. And then you can help hold your family. If you do that, everyone who is benefiting from you, through you, you get reward on behalf of all of those for generations to come. And you would find that who is alim in your family? Have you got someone who is scholar in your family? Most people don't. Perhaps maybe one or two hafiz at the most. Isn't that shameful? A Muslim family without hafiz, a Muslim family without alim. Inna lillah. No wonder that we're losing out on every front, because we haven't got the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with us anymore, because we have taken religion as a side thing. It is not our priority, because we are all covetous for dunya. We want dunya, we want material world, my career, my life, my spouse, my children, my car, my games, my new clothes, my new Lamborghini, sports car of some sort. Looking at others and getting, water in the mouth. I want this, food or whatnot. Which means that we are more concerned about this dunya compared to the life hereafter, which is a prison for believers. And we're interested in prison. We want to be in prison all the time. Don't want to die. Oh, we have to die regardless. So may Allah give us tawfiq to understand and behave like a proper practicing Muslim. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه. جزاك الله خيرا. And we